Welcome back, Summoners, to the Greener Premier League Spring Season 2015. Do excuse that technical error just then. It's Flavors and Fish back here with you. Day number 2 of the Greener Premier League, and we had an absolutely topsy-turvy start to the day. Absolutely crazy.
We just had Saigon Fantastic 5 Mineski in their first match tonight. We're about to head into game number 2 between SF5 and Mineski, and that was an incredible match. SF5 led the entire match, had a 3,000 to 4,000 goal difference. Then about the 20-minute mark, Mineski was just able to duel out SF5 whenever they wanted to, and they were winning the fights consistently. Mineski were in the base of SF5, could not finish out the game, and then SF5 were at the nexus of Mineski and couldn't finish out the game there as well.
Yep, and I think definitely one thing we can say that of these two teams, getting into day 2, having to open day 2 really, you know, these are the very first games they're playing in the split, ladies and gentlemen. They definitely have a case of nerves. I mean, think throughout the early game as well. There is the Poppy ban, by the way, taken away from SF5, saying, we don't want TG on that, and even though he did play fantastically on that, it was his rather erroneous teleport very late into the game that almost gave the game back to Saigon Fantastic 5. So we're really looking for these teams to settle down in this game number 2. I think that's really something that, as casters, we look forward to in these, even though it's just 2 games in a set, to really see the team settle down. No more of these early game mechanical mistakes, dives without really getting the kill, expending of summoner spells, 3v1s and all that kind of thing that shouldn't be happening. 4v1s, you could say, even Optimus at the end right there. And then Exo with the pentakill, and then the base destruction. Just absolutely nuts, guys. Absolutely crazy.
A really questionable dive coming out, a really questionable backdoor summit coming out from TG there.
Yeah.
Teleported into the base of Saigon Fantastic 5.
Walk towards the Nexus.
Walk towards the Nexus as
can't
well.
hit this.
Even though there were no inhibitors down. So, yeah, the Nexus was at about what?
Like, I'm Poppy, I got a hammer. I'm going to beat this Nexus up.
Yeah, there was maybe 25% health left on the Nexus, but he still decided to walk towards it and couldn't take it down. Other bans coming out here. Warwick being banned out by Saigon Fantastic 5. Hewlett picked up that champion in the last game. Nar being banned out by Mineski here. Lee Sin was taken away early, and Maokai.
All right, so, you know, we were discussing a bit in the aftermath of that tumultuous game number 1. Not once did we see Saigon Fantastic 5 flank against the Mineski team to really lock down on Exo, who I believe finished that game with only 1 death now that I think back on it. And they need to be a bit more creative about the way they engage if you're talking about the likes of having the Maokai, Jarvan, and, well, I mean, Maokai no longer in this game, but if Mineski picks a similar composition, Saigon Fantastic 5 will want to get into the thick of it, but perhaps a little more creatively. Lissandra does offer that with her Claw of Doom, so that's going to be fun.
So Lissandra has been allowed to go through the ban phase and will be picked up for Saigon Fantastic 5, most likely heading into the top lane for Saigon Fantastic 5 here. Mineski looked to pick up Corki as a second rotation, but we saw this from Saigon Fantastic 5 in the previous game where they allowed Warwick to go through and allowed Mineski to pick up that champion and instantly locked in 2 really strong picks for the second rotation, which were Corki and Maokai. TG still not decisive on what he wants to pick up just yet. It will look like Kulit will be picking up Corki first, and that should be going in on over to Exo. And played an amazing game last game, got a pentakill, you know.
Yeah.
He played pretty standardly, was able to do out CS minus in the 2v1 swap, was able to pick up a few kills for himself early on in the game, did constant damage, was always able to evade the Z ultimates coming in from Optimus as well, and it does look like it will be a Malphite pick for Mineski. This will either be in the top lane or jungle, I believe.
So definitely Mineski looking to prioritize TG once again, even though Poppy was picked up rather late in the rotations in the first pick and ban of the first game. This time it seems that they really want TG to be something on he's comfortable on. And if Poppy's banned away, they want to take the Malphite. Again, might be questionable picking that up given the fact that the top laner on the side of SF5 has already been picked up. There's no chance that Malphite will be stolen away, especially in this meta. Malphite isn't a contested top pick. But nevertheless, mayhaps not wanting to show too many of their cards yet. So, Malphite in the top lane most likely. Corki the pickup though. What will Minus then go to? Minus himself, you know, he did not play fantastically on Corki. I think a little rough around the edges, his early aggression. But we'll have to see what exactly he defaults to. Of course, the nerfs haven't quite come in to hit Lucian in the 4.21 patch, so that will still be very strong. And looks like it is going to be Jinky on that Jarvan once again. I think we really are going to look for him to apply more of that early pressure that we were hoping for.
I didn't like how Jinky played Jarvan in the previous game at all because he was constantly shut down during team fights. It looked like he had little to no presence in all the team fights, even in the final push into Mineski's base. It looked like he had little to no presence, and it was worrying me because not only did he do next to nothing in the early game, he was not able to get off effective ganks. He was not ganking more than Warwick was. Warwick was ganking way more.
Warwick ganked more than Jarvan.
Yes, Warwick was ganking way more precincts than Jarvan was in that previous game. And it just didn't look like Jinky had any presence on the team fights at all. And it was severely crippling Saigon Fantastic 5's team fight. And it already crippled their early to mid game incredibly hard. Picking up this Janna, I do believe, is a wise choice. So Janna is incredibly popular in the current meta.
Ooh,
and Lulu being picked up by EXO here.
So,
and Lulu is the champion. Oh no, it's gonna be Mundo's pick. I was gonna touch on Lulu really quickly because Lulu, I believe it was Cloud9 when they were here in Singapore for the World Championship. I remember hearing them backstage saying, "Okay, look at it this way. Every team that's picked up Lulu so far has just lost their games. No more Lulu." So it's going to be a little bit worried that picked up Lulu there, but it does look like they've gone for Mundo instead, who is an incredibly strong top laner right now and does really well against double AP. So let's see if Saigon Fantastic 5 go for an AP-based mid lane.
All right. That would be very exciting. And if anything we've seen so far from Mineski, willing to pull out that Poppy is, they're not afraid to really go a bit out of the box to search for champions that would basically get the job done. I mean, Mundo as well, perhaps not the most common in this meta, you could say, not the most contested, but when you're looking at the fact that your Poppy and your Maokai has been banned and you really want to be the guy that just goes where you please, well, Mundo fits that perfectly. Will Minus then pick up the Vayne to provide the true damage to somewhat control that Mundo, or just go a bit safer with the Tristana that will still ramp up very, very safely. Oh, and a last minute swap over to Jace.
I like the Tristana pickup. Tristana will scale well into the late game. Doesn't have a tough, an incredibly tough time against Corki in the bottom lane. It still goes in favor of Corki, especially until about level 9 or so, and then Minus will start to ramp up more as Tristana. At the same time, she has a good kit to fight against the team comp of Mineski here. Mundo excels at sticking to individual targets. However, it's going to be tough for him to stick to Minus with the Buster Shot and the Explosive Shot as well, because the Explosive Shot is going to mitigate his ultimate and his passive from healing him as much as it should, allowing them to deal more damage to that incredibly tanky Mundo, and the Buster Shot's going to knock him away, give that distance that SF5 would need to stay away from Dr. Mundo. I like the Jace pickup here coming in for SF5 as well, because it stops him from running into a double AP team composition, which Mundo excels against.
That's right.
Instead, gives them another attack damage champion, allowing them to deal more damage to this champion, more damage over time to this tanky champion.
And the last pickup for Mineski will be Yume's Twisted Fate. I'd say he had a decent game on it. Wasn't really snowballing his lanes all too hard, but as we talked about, Optimus had the counter pick on him at that, and honestly, Yume did his job, right? They said, when we approach into the team fights, we have to chain CC Jinky's Jarvan. Don't let him start off that initiation chain, and it was often Yume just getting his gold card ready, seeing the moment the flag was thrown down, he moves forward, makes sure he locks down the Jarvan. So, interesting stuff right here, because if we're talking about the long-range game that they want to play for SF5, well, they do have Jace. Tristana will have decent range, but again, this Malphite does signal that Mineski wants to go pretty hard onto SF5 and perhaps emulate a bit of the success that they were looking for with Warwick. Pop one person up, break up the chain of how exactly you're going to fight your team fight, and go from there. Because Mineski might be feeling out SF5, and this is why, you know, 2 games in a set are really exciting. SF5 really didn't look very coordinated in team fights. It looked very, very scattered, and in fact, where SF5 looked strong was basically finding picks. When it got to the team fight phase, you have to give it to Mineski. They played it out way better.
I'm interested to see Noel on Thresh though, because Noel is a pretty decent support player here. He has the mechanics of a high level, highly mechanically skilled player, which not too many supports have in the Green and Premier League. He has the mechanics to land those hooks, the death sentences, the flays as well, and trap people inside the box. And EXO has paired up with him really nicely. EXO and Noel have been playing phenomenally, not only in the GPL, but also in their local circuit as well, and they pair up very nicely together. So it's going to be interesting to see if they go into that dual lane, which we did not see in the previous game. In the previous game, we saw how EXO and Noel coordinated their the 2-on-1 lane very nicely.
Yeah.
So that they were evading ganks, they were able to turn around kills as well, turn around ganks at certain times. But at the same time, if you look at Minus and Uzi, they've been really uncoordinated. They tried to go for a dive onto Poppy at about level 4, and were not able to get anything out of it. They blew all their summoners. It was really sloppy and really messy, and they were not able to get anything out of it. So it's going to be interesting to see Noel playing a more playmaking champion this game.
That's right. And for those of our viewers who are wondering why exactly we're having all this time to talk about and preamble the game, it's of course the game is hosted on the Southeast Asia server, which we're on, so we are working with that 3-minute spectator delay. Nevertheless, that does give us time to talk about how, again, I think what we're looking for is Jinky to take advantage of the fact that you're going up against a jungler that needs a bit more time to scale up. Warwick, less so than Malphite. Malphite can gank before 6. He has a slow. He has that little bit of CC to help him out. But still, I mean, Jarvan, we're talking about from level 2 even, you can have an impact. And Jinky, I think, really needs to step up his game because, I mean, you're being handed, really, this jungle advantage to you on a silver platter in Warwick, in Malphite. Because once it hits level 6, arguably, that champion becomes a nightmare for your team to deal with. You need to have worked against that a bit more, I feel.
That is absolutely right. Well, I want to see how Azizi plays Lissandra up in the top lane. He arguably didn't have a great game because he was about 0-8 down 20 minutes in, and that was not a comfortable score for your tankiest champion, to be honest. You can see how he's being obliterated in team fights. Now he's playing on a more damage-oriented champion, Lissandra, somebody who can lock people down, has an insane amount of burst and mobility at the same time, and a lot of crowd control. So it's going to be interesting to see how he plays this one out. Lissandra is a top lane bully, so to speak, but she is going up against a Dr. Mundo who can sustain really well. I really think the team fights and the teleport ganks coming up from these two teams will decide how skilled Azizi is on this champion.
All right, guys. So, Mineski versus Saigon Fantastic 5. We will be getting into the loading screen right about now. It's time for round 2. Whoa. I felt very much into the game at that point, Fish. Very much. As it is, here we go, spawning onto Summoner's Rift. Blue
times
side.
everywhere. Look at that. 720 GMT +8, which is this game right now.
There we go.
Stuck on the screen for you guys. Waiting for the change, but there we go. We're into game number 2 between Saigon Fantastic 5 and Mineski here.
Yeah, you know, and I love some of the little changes that have gone into 4.20 that, you know, haven't been talked about all too much. One of those being the speed buff where you just rocket out of the gates. And at those times when I'm just playing a normal or 2 and having a bit more fun with the game, I always think it would be nice to have little achievements, like who can reach or exit the base the fastest. And you get like 1 gold or something, you know, or like a little banner or something, you know, if you reach the base 100 times fast. But nevertheless, it would have been hilarious if Minus face blasted into the wall, but he is a pro. That's why he's playing, and
like
I'm sitting.
Yeah, that's why we're sitting here. We would have face planted to the wall there. We would have had to flash and failed that flash as well. And then we would have used the heal to try and run away, and we still would have died.
Might have healed first in panic. Like, maybe I can creep around the wall.
What I've been doing recently is when I'm trying to run away, I've been accidentally clicking my minimap.
Oh,
so
that happens.
I run back towards the enemy team.
That's happening.
Yeah, that's not fun.
And for those of you that are having trouble with that, you can minimize your HUD scale a little bit. That does help a little bit.
I minimize the HUD scale to like nothing. But my minimap's still really big.
Yeah. It's still a sizable portion. It happens.
So when I hit heal and run away, I normally just give them a kill faster because I run closer to them and I realize, oh, too late.
Well.
But like you said, these guys are professionals. That's not
Indeed.
Minus didn't have to take a point in rocket jump though.
That's pretty big for level 1.
It is going to make his pushing power at level 1 a little bit weaker, and his damage a little bit weaker as well, unless he goes for an all-in jump here. But it does look like they're going to be caught out here. This is Malphite starting on the Krugs in the top lane. GP going for the counter jungle, picking up their blue buff here. Should be able to smite this one away. EXO and Noel though, not afraid to go for the damage onto the Saigon Fantastic 5. We will get the smite down onto the blue buff. Actually, no, that actually goes over to Minus. Minus picks up the blue buff for himself. Exhaust use onto Yume there. Gets the stun card down onto Uzi. Here comes that teleport. TG will lock down Uzi. He has no more flash. He's not getting away from this one. Flames it back. Here comes Uzi's last stun card. First blood will go over to Dr. Mundo. Mineski turn around a level 1 invade coming in for Saigon Fantastic 5. And the best part is Minus picked up blue buff there. That was a fail smite coming out from Jinky.
Yep. So,
What was that?
I gotta say, in this set format that we now have, where you have 2 games, definitely we're gonna see again one of the things that we will definitely see is the tenacity of these teams. How exactly do you play, having dropped a game, having won a game against the same opponents, and there's level 2 hit very early on by EXO. And I really think that might be just a little bit of tilt, especially given the fact that they can't really go for this trade. No, especially given the fact that the new jungle hurts so much. You could see how Jinky really wasn't all that much into the blue golem. He was like, I actually don't like you that much. I want to back off right about now. Panic misses Smite. Thankfully went over to Minus. If that went over to EXO, I think that lane would pretty much be over. We talked about how Azuzi would be a bit of a lane bully, but with the first blood going over to TG, very quickly picking up that null magic mantle. That's gonna spell trouble. Mondo's gonna have a much easier time in lane.
Assurance that early magic reduction will stop a ton of damage coming from Azuzi here and will allow TG to stay in lane longer. Not to mention his passive and that Doran shield will keep him healthy for a significantly longer amount of time. That teleport coming in from Dr. Mundo was great as well, because when he came down into the bottom lane, somebody would have had to flash, and if he hits one infected cleaver, that would have locked him down for a significant amount of time. Jinky here going for a dive onto Yume, takes 2 tower shots there. There goes Optimus on the Yume, knocks it back. The flight spell combo will miss, but thankfully the Ignite picks up the kill there, and I think Malphite just continued farming for the duration of that tower dive, which is a little bit strange. I felt like he could have made his way over a little bit faster with a flash. Pick up a assist or 2 in there, but good play coming out from Jarvan there. Goes for that tower dive.
Might have
almost costing himself.
That's right. Might have been Optimus just saying, you know, chill out, I got this. Because he was very close to actually outplaying them. And that would again have been Mineski not quite making the best of a dive. Or excuse me, SF5 making the best of a dive as we saw early game. As it is though, they are really putting the hurt onto Minus and Uzi. I think Noah will be happy to trade as much of his HP as he can to keep down the farm of Minus, because they know there is a timer on this Tristana, just like there was a timer on EXO's Jinx, and they're doing a good job, almost double CS onto EXO's Corki. That's how you want to control a Tristana. Just endless aggression. Really taking him very low right there.
EXO not afraid to dish out the damage either. Going really aggressive. Knows that he has the minion wave advantage. Knows that if he goes aggressive now, like he is right there, pops the Frostwhisp Bomb, almost takes out Minus. Yuzi may actually go for a kill. Picks up 1 on attack, but it's not quite enough to take him down. But really aggressive coming up for Corki, and was rightfully so almost took down Minus. About 20 hit points, I believe, remaining on the Tristana in the bottom lane.
I think EXO as well as Noah had a chance to feel out both Uzi and Minus in game number 1. They recognize these guys, perhaps when they're put under pressure, don't perform all too well. Alright.
I like what EXO was doing there. Not only was he able to burn the flash coming in from Minus, but we see TG Mega Jump does get locked down there. Will get ulted there by Azuzi, who
honestly, with that null magic mantle, I don't think he even needed to flash. The crowd control was wearing off. Jarvan, after he flag combos you, is pretty much done, but
that's a tower though. Yeah. He's still playing that lane bully, pushing as hard as he possibly can. Managed to take down the top lane tower 6 minutes and 30 seconds in. Like I was saying before, for EXO, going aggressive at that period of time, you see Philip here may run into them. Going aggressive in that period of time when he had so many minions in the bottom lane, allowed him to push his advantage even further. Made it so that when he goes back to base, he has time to come back down and farm the minions that he can. Makes it so that Tristana misses a few minions as well. And if Tristana tries to retaliate the damage, EXO has so many more minions that they will go aggressive against Tristana and deal even more damage to her.
That's right. And something else that I noticed, which we didn't touch on, was that an adaptation made by SF5, given how they knew Mundo picked up the first blood, would be going back to pick up additional defenses for himself, was that when Jinky returned to his own jungle pathing. He actually passed their own blue, SF5's own blue, over to Ozeze. That's why he has a good CS lead, was able to shove Mundo so quickly. That's why they were able to take down that tier 1 so quickly. So it's a nice adaptation, recognizing that Lissandra would need that little bit of help to deal with the stronger Mundo early on. And they almost picked up a kill on him, not quite there yet. And meanwhile, the farming Coolit has managed to get his Malphite to level 6.
Uh-oh, here comes Jinky down at the bottom lane, going for that gank there. EXO has to be slowed down by UC. A lot of damage return. Look at all the minions though. Here comes the teleport. This could be bad for Saigon Fantastic 5. Interrupted though. Twisted Fate will be able to go for that stun card. All of SF5 members will flash away and live to tell the tale. Zuzi is down here in the bottom lane as well. Use that teleport, but that was sloppy regardless coming from SF5. I think that if Mundo didn't use his teleport and Twisted Fate waited a while longer, Mineski could have easily turned that one around because there were so many minions. There was at least 2 waves, if not more, worth of minions in the bottom lane, destroying UZ and Minus.
Yeah, they really just had to wait for the flag combo to come out from Jarvan. EXO really wasn't in any kind of immediate danger. He still has both his summoners available to him.
And his Valkyrie too.
And that would have easily been turned around. And of course, that means that Mundo, with his CS discrepancy, is going to suffer even more. So yes, Lissandra did come down. TF as well, not quite the beneficiary of such aggressive moves without any kind of pickup. Oh man, but they put themselves in the pit.
Is he gonna do it? Did it? Looks like he wants to go for the kill. He does get locked down though, instantly destroyed by SF5 Ultimate. Jinky does jump out of the pit though. That's the jungler getting taken down. The dragon is still dealing damage to SF5's backline here. Looks like SF5 will have to retreat. Corking's gonna jump with the Valkyrie. Zuzi does get taken down there. Great kill coming in from Mineski there, and they will be able to pick up the dragon. Optimus may try and steal this one over the wall there. He's the only person with an ability that can fly over. Let's see what he can do. He does have the shield coming in from Gender. Everybody from Mineski body blocking the shock blast acceleration gate combo there to stop them from sniping the dragon. Great play from Mineski to count out the dragon. A little bit unfortunate that Coolit went down so fast.
Yeah, Coolit getting a little bit uneasy with how his team didn't have any presence in there. Really wanted to show SF5 that they were going to contest it. In the end, it all worked out for Mineski since they do pull out the dragon kill. Nice try by Optimus to try and steal that away, but of course, the human wall right there. Don't say you guys didn't see any football in Mineski versus SF5. That was a fantastic human wall from them to deny that attempt.
You know, Optimus setting up for the free kick. The wall was pushed up.
Yeah. Of course, the referee wouldn't have been too happy with the way they were positioning, jostling, and really pushing that lineup quite far, but effective nonetheless. And of course, the CS scores are something else we should take note of. In the top lane, Ozeze versus PG, that has only been growing, whereas in the bottom lane, due to the fact that Mineski pulled that trigger a little too early, and Minus survived basically a ton of things being thrown at him, he managed to even out the CS score as well. And in the mid lane, Optimus doing what Optimus does, trying to control Yume's TF. He's doing a decent job of it. This is a bit of a power dip, of course, before he hits an item other than his Tear of the Goddess. But still, 2 kills to his name will mean that Jace will ramp up.
So Mineski pick up the first dragon of the game, which is fantastic for them, because once again, their damage is all mixed here. With the same magic. Here comes the Zuzi diving into that mid lane. We do see a flash coming up from Yume to evade that tower dive coming in. There should be a tower for Saigon Fantastic 5 though.
No, this is much nicer from Ozeze, recognizing that he's on a champion that has a lot of crowd control, has control of his own lane, comes down to mid to prey on the Twisted Fate, which is, honestly, you want to get him in his own lane. You can't wait for Twisted Fate to visit another lane, because then that's him making a play onto your team. You want to shut him down as much as possible within his own lane. And that's what they do. Mundo's busy freezing a lane, SF5 rotates to mid. We saw this in the same way in how when EXO was busy freezing the lane in the previous game, SF5 were very quick. Or rather, it was the other way around, excuse me. When Minus was freezing the lane, Mineski were the one grouping up to push mid. So both of these teams taking a page out of each other's book. If they can lock down a member in the side lane and force them to free farm or freeze farm, they're going to go for something in the middle. They burn Yume's flash. I expect, and I really, really hope Jinky goes into the mid lane to prey on that.
SF5 now. 3 members grouped up in the bottom lane. Minus should be showing himself shortly. Trying to follow a few more minutes there. Going aggressive against EXO. Here comes the teleport into the bottom lane. Coolit is there as well. The box is powerful. Minus jumping in there. There goes the ultimate coming in onto Noel though. It does look like the Cataclysm is being popped by Jinky there. Noel taking a ton of damage. There goes that nice knockout coming in from Coolit there. Mineski trying to turn this one around, but Saigon SF5 pick up the first kill. Kula picks a kill onto Jinky and has to flash away. Nobody else from Mineski coming down to help him out. Twist of Fate, not quite in range to pop that Destiny. They trade 1 for 1. The jungler for the support there, so in favor of Saigon SF5, I believe. No, it's in favor of Mineski. They're only trading their support for the jungler.
Yeah, that's right. An interesting, very, very aggressive move from SF5 right there. They knew that they had forced Twisted Fate out of lane. They actually gambled that he went straight back to base, and it was a very small window for them to make a play on bottom. Really, really, again, gambling that Twisted Fate had gone back to base and wasn't just, you know, in the bottom side of his jungle right there. Oh, TG getting chunked.
TG getting chunked by Optimus. Pops that ultimate a little bit too early and chunked himself as well, but he should be able to get out of this one alive. Twisted Fate pops his ultimate as a precaution to try and help his ally out. Do manage to still take down the top lane tower.
Alright, so we can see multiple tools in SF5's composition to really deal with this Mundo. They have Lissandra that's going to be building the Morellonomicon. Jace as well has the Ignite, but more importantly, Jace's Hammer E form, where you knock them away, that has percentage HP on it as well. And Tristana, we talked about her previously, her kit as well as her ultimate will be denying Mundo. So looks like they're doing a good job keeping control of TG, but he's managed to sneak in 2 kills for himself, and that's a bit surprising for me because he's even the CS, and while he was freeze farming that, SF5 tried to make aggressive moves in mid as well as bottom, recognizing that Mundo was preoccupied. But as he pointed out, it was a trade support for jungler, so in favor of Mineski.
Fantastic fight stacked once again in this bottom lane. 3 members waiting to see if Mineski will overextend. Jace is coming down now as well. Minus did show himself, so he's going to walk in on over to the lane.
My opinion of this is that
they're going to go in for it. There goes the knock on the Cataclysm about as well. Exo has no way out of this one. Gets taken, gets knocked out of the Cataclysm by Minus. Minus clutch play coming from him now. TG's going to be one jumping down. Pops his ultimate, gets knocked backwards. First kill coming over to Kuitler. Nice escape coming from Jiggy. Has to flash out of that one as well. The briefcase is coming in for TG. Will not connect with the 3 remaining members of the Saigon Fantastic 5 there. And they turn around to play once again. Minus with his ultimate, knocking Exo out.
They
do catch him. They catch an Uzi, pops that ultimate, will knock Noel backwards. Jinky comes back in, will pick up a kill. No, Optimus will pick up a kill for himself. He jumps in onto TG, will deal a lot of damage with that hammer form. The briefcase will take it out. And once again, SF5 knock a member back, keeping them alive. Yume now trying to run away from Optimus. Optimus still chasing down the face. There goes the ultimate. One more attack, has to flash away. Nobody's there to pick up that final kill. Shock Blast, accelerating gate combo will come out. Yume has a blue card. Blue card, why? No, Yume, don't do it! You go down to Midas there.
Alright.
Did see Lissandra coming around from the back to pick up any stragglers from the Mineski side, but slightly dive coming in from them.
Yeah, so that's what I like to call Fish a comedy of errors, really, because both teams giving us good laughs, but really not having a fun time of it on their own, right? Lots of errors. Minus with his Buster Shot, saving Exo, whose Valkyrie was actually cut short by the terrain. Oh dear.
Thresh, where are you going?
Alright, no, it's good. And then Jace with his hammer form actually knocking away a kill for themselves as well. And then Yume just getting a bit tweedy. So both teams biting off a bit more than they could chew, getting a little too greedy with their advances onto the enemy team. Dragging this up now, and look at the amount of poke that TG has been able to do.
Oh my goodness.
No, that's bad. That's really, really bad for them.
Took so much damage from TG alone. That is insane. Kulit taking no damage thanks to his passive there from the Shock Blast acceleration gate combo. Dragon is up. Nice pick forward in the Dragon Pit as well for the side of Mineski. They'll be able to clear out any wards placed down by Silent Fantastic 5. Also trying to put a few more in the pit. They are split up here. Ganon trying to go around the bottom hand side. Noah gets a pick onto Uzi. Uzi may actually get chunked here by Exo and Yume. Nobody in the team fast enough to react to this one though. Dragons anything on Trey below. There should be a fight coming out here. They do allow Dragons to reset slightly. TG jumping in on over the Jinky. There goes fight coming out. Will be Jinky jumping the Cataclysm. He will be the first one to go down. Ultimate used by Lissandra onto Exo. Exo is still alive though, kiting back and forth. Minus will jump into the fray, jump straight on top of Exo. Stun card from Yume straight up and knocks him back once again, keeping him alive a little bit longer. Minus will live. Optimus picks up a double kill for himself. Now he's on to Yume. Yume will go down. Triple kill for Optimus there. And Mineski once again looked like they were cleaning up that team fight, overexerted themselves, and got turned around by SF5. They do manage to pick up the Dragon though.
think this might be a little bit of the aftermath of game number 1 showing. In game number 1, when they took down Jinky, the team fight for SF5 really fell apart. But this is a different team composition. We're talking about Lissandra that came in after a lot of the CC was popped already. Makes herself invulnerable, so creates this zone where really Optimus and Minus on the two sides can collapse, right? Because the CC has already been blown. I think Coolit didn't use his ultimate on either one of those carries. And that was just a fantastic opening for both Minus and Optimus to come in, really get a lot of the damage down. Minus, I believe, picked up the shutdown on PG as well. So this Tristana might be a story, might be the story of EXO's Jinx in the last game. You know, where it suffers a little bit early on, but if you don't take care of it, it really, really starts to ramp up. 3-1-4 now.
Look at Optimus'
man.
score. 7-0-2. He has his Muramana, Brutalizer, Boots of Ionian Lucidity, and the Last Whisper picked up on his mid lane Jace. Optimus is going to be packing a punch. No matter how many times Mineski formed that football wall, they're not going to be able to stop that damage from the Shock Blast Acceleration Gate combo, which has been wrecking them. And they can't allow Optimus to keep ramping up like this.
You know, Fish, when it starts to hurt that much, sometimes you just like turn your back on it, or you just jump, and then your team goes, no, don't let it through, right? Because somebody's going to have to take it. Thankfully for them, Coolit going with a full tank build will be able to soak up some of that. Mundo, not too bad once he gets some of his physical damage as well. But so far, Optimus has been doing a good job just raining down the pain on them. And if one or two of those even hit Yume or EXO, it's a bit like the Mundo story as well, right? Lissandra was getting chunked out, but Lissandra, thankfully for Azeze, he kept his cool, went into the team fight, activated his ultimate on himself. Again, creating a very, very good zone for both Optimus and Minus to get their damage down. And look at this. Having shoved Mineski back, SF5 collapsed quickly on the tier 2. That is theirs for the taking. Mineski just a little bit too slow. I mean, yes, Mineski did take game number 1, but I think we can safely say SF5 moved around the map a lot faster. Macro play from them, cleaner.
Macro play from SF5, yes, definitely a lot cleaner there, but Mineski's team fights in game number 1 were on point. This game, however, they've been lacking when it comes to those 5-on-5 team fights. They've been splitting up, not focusing down the right targets, not using their abilities at the right times either, and it has been costing them. They've been getting away with it narrowly. They've been losing by maybe 1 or 2 kills, still picking up an objective. However, if that continues towards the late game, it's definitely going to be a problem for them. We saw EXO survive so many burst abilities coming out from SF5, only to go down to Optimus minutes later because he was left untouched.
That's right.
By the Mineski side.
And I think definitely this Lissandra first pick by SF5, given how it went through the bans, got through the bans, is a huge part of that. Because in the past, when we saw competition with Jarvan and Maokai as your initiation, you really just have to take out the Jarvan, and then the Maokai is walking straight into you. You know, with Lissandra, you have your claw to get in. You have a lot of tricks to play with the enemy team. If they try and burst you down, you can make yourself invulnerable, or you can lock down a carry, say, after Coolit burns his own ultimate. I think this is a much more sly champion that SF5 is going to be using to full effect. And if you're creating that space necessary for the long range of Jace and Tristana to get the damage off, then that's going to work perfectly for you. So Mineski on their end should be looking on to flank and get a good angle onto Optimus once his gate is down. There isn't that great an amount of disengage that can come up from SF5. Though they can still be very tricky again with Lissandra and Janna. It will be difficult, but a much higher chance than just running face forward into that kind of damage and into the line damage that will be coming from Lissandra as well.
33.4 to 30.7 thousand gold. SF5 leading to that one. 10 kills tonight. 4-1 towers. Still in favor of Saigon 5. The only saving grace that Mineski have right now is they have both dragons, which is giving them the 15% increased damage to minions and monsters, and the 8% increased physical damage and ability power.
And yet we take a look at the mini-map and we see how forward SF5 is playing, how they've got the minion waves really pushing in their advantage. So yes, Mineski, you've got the clearing advantage, but what exactly are they doing with it? The minion waves are in control of SF5 right now. They're working the map, pushing out the waves before this next dragon spawns. They would definitely want that 8% in their own pocket and not give that 5% movement speed over to Mineski. 30 seconds on this, and again, SF5 are the one that have the movement, or rather have moved into the dragon area. And look at this, a nice semicircle of wards, so they're very, very ready to control this dragon area.
SF5 here. They're the ones that are now trying to take control. Mineski have been on point in these dragon fights when it comes to picking up the dragon, but so far, once the fight finishes, they're not sure what to do afterwards. And the last 2 times, Optimus has been able to snipe off people here and there, which is why he's 7-0-2. Speed buff does go over to Saigon with SF5 to actually give them an advantage when they're inside of pit, and Azuzi is pushing up in the top lane. That will give them some advantage for some amount of time.
This is great position by SF5.
Mineski though, they're trying to force down this Baron as Dragon, sorry, as fast as they possibly can. Before SF5, there goes the ultimate coming out from Kulit there, knocks out Jinky. TG gonna jump into the back lines, it does come, here's you see the Cataclysm coming out. It will be Minus going on a killing spree though. TG should get taken down here by Optimus. Double kill for Minus there. The 3 members of Mineski are stuck now. The speed boost is right there for SF5 to chase them all down. Yume and Noel running away with their life. Yume actually gonna use his destiny to get away as well. Dragon will go over to Saigon with SF5. They make up 3 kills for themselves for 2 kills there, and the Dragon coming in for the side of Mineski. They almost managed to snipe out the remaining members there, not quite able to do so. SF5 dominant in that fight despite the decisive decision coming in from Mineski to initiate.
That was a very, very close fight, and I have to say Kulit is going to have to be more on point with his ultimates right there. I think they're still stuck in that mindset that if they take Jinky out, the team fight will go in their favor. And again, that would have worked in the previous composition, but in this composition with the Lissandra, you saw Azuzi came in from the back, and it was pretty much all the summoners burnt from EXO as well as Noel to escape from that flanking maneuver from Azuzi's Lissandra. And EXO gets his recall cancel, but he had a fantastic flash to avoid a lot of the CC that was coming his way. The flash, flag and drag combo coming out from Jinky's Jarvan on the re-engage, and as well as his Valkyrie to dodge a lot of the crowd control and damage that was coming from Ozaze. But next team fight without that flash available, they really have to be a bit more careful. If they pull the trigger of Kulit's Unstoppable Force just on Jinky, and Lissandra comes just that bit much faster, SF5 has that team fight in the bag, for sure.
See Minus there picking up 2 kills in that fight. He's now 5-1-4. Optimus 7-0-4. No kills for the other members of Saigon Static 5 right now. Infinity Ends and Static should have picked up by Stan already. He does have that quick Silver Sash to negate 1 crowd control during the fight. Most likely going to be a stun circle there, but PG now going to con off here by GP, and he has to pop his ultimate to run away. Acceleration Shot Blast combo coming out from Optimus still does so much damage right now. And it's going to be, actually that damage is not going to stop. It's just going to get worse and worse coming from Saigon Static 5. It's going to decimate Mineski. Optimus once again popping that one down onto now. Now they're trying to siege a top lane inhibitor turret, and Corki is in the bottom side of the map. SF5 can try and force a lot of damage onto the turret, especially with Optimus and Minus being so far ahead right now.
Look at how quickly they're just taking it down. Oh, that's a good ultimate.
Kulit comes in. Optimus gets taken down to Crazy Low. Still does a lot of damage before he gets taken down. He's still alive. The shield keeping him alive for way too long. And he lives to tell the tale. Double kill coming in from Minus as well. EXO trying to return some kills for his team. The briefcases are not landing coming from TG. Here comes Optimus. And Azuzi. Nice shot blast combo. Azuzi will go down, but the slow comes up from Minus. That will be another kill for the AD carry on the side of Saigon Static. Shut down. Coming in for Tristana there as well, and only Yume lives to tell the tale. 3 members of SF5 left alive, and they take the top inhibitor.
Kulit definitely landed a spot on ultimate right there, but SF5 is so far ahead, and look at how ready they were for this top push. Ooh, we do have the ultimate pop by Yume right now. Don't think he's going to go in all on his lonesome. In the top side, you can see just the amount of blue wards that were put down. SF5 setting up for a very aggressive push. Make sure that they have the vision to make those plays. Oh man, an aggressive TP here.
Noel is there. Noel gets instantly destroyed by Optimus. SF5 saying, no chance, buddy. You're not even going to try and stop the 3 of us right now. 8 kills on Optimus, 8 kills on Minus. There was no chance Noel was getting anywhere close there.
Alright, so to put things into perspective on the disparity between these 2 teams, richest member on the side of Mineski with 9,500 gold would be Yume and EXO, both around 9,500. 2,000 gold ahead is both Optimus and Minus, right? The 2 carries on both sides. There is a 2,000 gold difference between these 2 And we're talking about a clean sheet on Optimus and almost a clean sheet on Minus. So these two have been playing out of their minds. And of course, Mineski has been funneling a bit into the way they've been committing to these team fights. But then again, when Coolit does find the ultimate on both of those targets, the damage has already been done. We saw Optimus escape with a sliver of health. -2 really did a good job kiting back. And then closing in really for the killing blow right there onto EXO after they kited back into their field of vision, which again was just so beautifully set up. If you want to push onto tier 2 10 inhibitors, you need to have vision like that of SF5. You can see the top side just completely warded out. Not so much so on the bottom side, but after you get a convincing team fight like that and your carries are so fed, the power can get to your head a little bit. I think you want to keep going aggressive.
And they should keep going aggressive here. SF5 been dominating this entire fight. TG trying to slow down Jinky there. I think they have to be Mineski have to be a little bit careful when they try and go for the fight. Doesn't look like Face trying to wrap around, join his team. We'll have that Destiny available very shortly. SF5 going in for a fight though. They lock them down. Here comes the teleport coming in from Mineski as well. Noel actually goes on killing spree there. Takes out a kill onto Jinky. Now from SF5. Zuzica's getting taken down. Minus flashes in, gets exhausted by Noel. Last minute. It's a death sentence locked down as well. Knocks into the tower. EXO picks up a kill onto Minus there. Shut down onto AD carry. And Mineski then managed to hold their ground. They managed to pick up 3 kills and only drop Yume in that entire fight. Sloppy initiation coming from SF5. They should be able to get some damage down onto this turret. TG though, he's gonna pop that random over and lock him down for a while longer. Optus won't still get connected by that death sentence. Shut down coming in from EXO there. They shut down both the mid laner who is 9-1-8 now and the AD carry who is now 8-2-6. Great play from Mineski. That may help them get back into this game.
Yeah, that was absolutely huge. Getting the flash from Optimus means that Coolit no longer has to worry on his next ultimate that Jace will flash out of it. Minus got his flash burnt in that team fight as well, meaning that Coolit should have a relatively easy time locking them down. And the way in which SF5 engaged that definitely was rather sloppy. Jarvan engaged on what he thought was an overextension by the Mineski team, but Ozerze wasn't quite there for the collapse, a little bit late once again. This 5% movement will be extremely huge for Mineski to kite around, work around those acceleration gate cooldowns. And more importantly, I think Coolit as well as Mineski as a whole are rightfully identifying that Coolit needs to commit his ultimate to the carries at the back, right? Jarvan engaged in that last team fight. Coolit immediately uses his unstoppable force when Optimus and Minus are walking forward to follow on that. Wouldn't have been quite as bad an engage if Jinky had been followed up by Ozerze's Lissandra, but he was just left to dry on his own. And right now, SF5, well, they have been spotted, but looks like they're gonna finish it. Yeah! Whoa, okay. Okay then. I saw the bomb flying, I was like, man, oh, these games can get crazy, Fish. We know that.
SF5, they'll pick up the Baron buff for themselves. That is gonna help them tremendously the next few pushes they go for it. They'll have the speed boost coming out of base, they'll have the insanely fast recalls as well. Everything they need to go for them.
That's right. And honestly, Lissandra, Ozerze, if he can't quite get his teleport down at the precise moment in the team fights, he really should just stick with the team because they would be able to force so strongly right here. The fact that he was late to that team fight really just, I think, misconstrues how far this gap is between SF5 and Mineski. Mineski shouldn't really have been able to take that team fight because just as Coolit goes in alone, he gets taken down very quickly by the carries. It's just that there was nobody follow up on Jinky's engage to take out the weaker carries on the side of Mineski. And that is something that Ozerze's Lissandra should be looking to do.
54,000 gold, almost 55,000 gold for Saigon with Tactic 5 to the 49.2 thousand gold on Mineski side right now. 18-17 in terms of kills. SF5 owning lead by 1, 7-3 towers though, which is where they're getting all their money from. I think Mineski's best option to stay alive in this game, do what they just did in the previous fight. Stay in their base, wait for SF5 to overcommit to a fight, capitalize on that, turn that fight around. Then they need to keep waiting for these dragons. If they can pick up 2 more dragons, they could probably end the game with that 5th dragon.
You're all about the dragons, aren't you?
Yes,
I agree.
because SF5 haven't picked up a single dragon yet.
Oh, they picked up 1. They have that 8%.
Yes, they picked up 1. That's right.
But you're right. When you're ahead on the dragon game, you just keep yourself ahead, and that is definitely a viable strategy to that bright blue victory screen, but it might not be for them after all, since SF5 are knocking on their base doors right now, managing to survive one wave of super or Baron empowered minions, I should say, not quite super. How long can they really last though? Those shock blasts are starting to rain down lots of pain onto this side of Mineski.
See how Mineski is going to deal with this one. Siege minion is there now with the Baron buff, because Siege minion will not be touched by the tower. Mineski has to physically deal with that one Siege minion.
Yeah, and you can see how Optimus is timing his accelerated shock blast. Because of that, when Exo stepped up to take out that cannon minion, it was an accelerated shock blast to the face, and he's down to half HP.
Nice push to decide whether they get this tower. All you do see is using the fake to go in there. DG pops his ultimate, takes quite a bit of damage in return. Minus there, trying to clear out these minion waves. See if they go for that final push with a little bit of damage down onto the tower. Jumps back in again. The lasers not quite able to deal enough damage to keep him out there. There's the death sentence onto Minus. He gets it cleansed instantly out of that one.
Man, alright.
And jumps away, so managed to get away there. But that tower, one tick away from getting taken down. This should be a tower for Saigon with SF5. They should be able to force a fight here. They choose to go in. This will take one auto attack. One more from the siege minion will be enough. It will go down. Third turret has been destroyed. Let's see if SF5 decide to push in for this space. Is he will jump in? No, fakes it out. There goes the ultimate from Kulit, hitting Minus and Optimus. Hook onto Optimus as well. They do lock that on the backside. Exo, who has to Valkyrie away after getting ulted by Lysandra. Minus takes out Kulit. Yume will go down. DG should be the next target here coming in for SF5. And that's 4 kills for nothing. I do believe that Saigon Fantastic 5 should be looking to try and end this game. The death timers are quite long. 30 seconds. No, actually, they're going to go for the next inhibitor instead. Decide not to try and rush down those 2 Nexus turrets, play it safe. Let's see what they can do here, though. Now, Minus pushing it down. Exo takes a lot of damage from the shock lane, the shock blast, and the auto attacks coming in from the AD carry. They're going to push on that final Nexus turret. There's 5 people going up against 2 right now. That's the second turret getting taken out. Exo and PG left to defend. PG doing all the damage again. They're battering on the Nexus. The Nexus will go down. Mineski will get defeated by the Saigon Fantastic 5, and they tied up 1-1 in the second game, drawing the first game they played in the Green Republic League.
Whew. So, if SF5 can close out 5v3, they certainly can close out 5v2. And definitely we have...
Three's a little too much.
Yeah,
it's a little bit of a crowd.
We need at least 3 of them down.
Just they can only take a couple on at a time.
That's right. We do have to give credit, of course, to Mineski in that last team fight. They knew the flashes were down from both Minus as well. Excuse me, no, not Minus. Yes, Minus as well as Optimus.